Hey there, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office. But instead of doing a weather update this time, I'm doing a photo tour. As many of you may know, I recently took a trip to Northern Ireland for mostly a golf trip, but I did bring my photo equipment along, and quite often folks have been asking me to share some of my photos with them. I hope to do that more now that I am retired, have more time for photography and more time for travel for photography. So I'm going to show you some of the places that I went, mostly in Northern Ireland. We were also in the Republic of Ireland for a little while, but mostly we're in Northern Ireland. And this isn't going to be a complete tour of what we did and what we saw. And also keep in mind, there's a lot of the country we did not see. So I'm sure there are a lot of things that maybe if you've been to Ireland or Northern Ireland, things that you saw that we missed, feel free to share them, because after my trip, I think I'm going to be going back. So let me show you just some of the photos that I grabbed. So we flew into Dublin, and we drove up to this little town called Dundrum, because the next day we were getting ready to play a course nearby in the town of Newcastle called Royal County Down, one of the best courses in the world. But flying in from the States, usually the first thing you do is you wake up early the next morning. And that's what I did. So I grabbed my camera gear around 5 o'clock in the morning, headed down to the beach right across the street from our little hotel, and the sunrise was spectacular, as you can see here. So there's a little bay here that you'll see in some of the other photos, and as you can see, this is the town of Dundrum itself. So there's some mountains here. Newcastle is way down in here, but this little town of Dundrum, just a beautiful little spot. Now, Newcastle down here on the coast is much more, it's a coastal town, and so it does have its more of a hustle to it, if you will. But if you want something quieter and quite nice, the town of Dundrum was very, very nice. And the town, I should say the town, but the course of Royal County Down is right way over in there, and we got to that a little bit later. I didn't take any photos out there. It's kind of too much in awe, I think, of Royal County Down to be taking photos. This is a Dundrum Castle. I took this in black and white with my Leica, and I just kind of like the way it looks here with black and white. But this sits up on top of the hill, and that's where I got some of the photos of the sunrise as well. Just a beautiful little spot there. And like I said, it's Dundrum. I don't think it's too much tourist traffic, but it's certainly worth a visit. After that, we headed up farther to the north and went to the town of Bushmills and up by Portrush. And this is the Dunluce Castle, also taken in black and white. It's a very dramatic spot out here on the coast. And if we took it from a different angle as well, and here it is. So here is the castle. And the thing that struck us mostly, of course, coming from Northern California, is just how green everything is. And this is the way the coast looked in Northern Ireland. Just these jagged cliffs. And of course, here you have the spectacular medieval castle built on top of it, and just this beautiful coastline. It was just amazing to see. Now, another spot in Northern Ireland that a lot of people like to go to is some of these Game of Thrones spots. Now, I have to admit, I never watched Game of Thrones, but I had seen pictures of this spot, and I think this is called the King's Road or something like that in Game of Thrones. Anyway, we got up early one morning and headed out there, and it's just a spectacular grove of trees. You can't drive down there, but you can park and walk through there, and we got up early in the morning, so there wasn't any traffic. But this is one of my favorite photos from the trip I took, and it's just a great spot. I was hoping for a foggy morning, but we had what we had, and it was just a beautiful spot. Also, as I said, everything is green. Not only are the hills green, but also the rocks on the coast are green, and so I just had to stop here. This is over east of Bushmills, not too far from a town called Waterfoot. That I'll be showing you more pictures of here in just a second. But yeah, Waterfoot turned out to be a fun little find. And actually, let me show you this now. So just outside of Waterfoot, there's this area of waterfalls that I can't pronounce the name, but there's a walkway, a wooden elevated walkway. It's popular with tourists, but just a string of waterfalls. This was the most spectacular of them, but just a really, really pretty spot here along the coast. Let's see. So I showed you that one. Oh, yeah. This is the way most of the time it looked. We would have blue sky and clouds, and every now and then we get a little rain. But again, just another example of just how jagged and rocky the coast is, and it just lends itself to some spectacular photography. I just love the way the water would crash against the rocks here and then just kind of come pouring down the sides. And with that, I did a longer exposure on one of them, and I just love this kind of look. So this is a 5-second exposure, and it just kind of makes the waves look a bit more mystical, if you will, like in here. I just love this kind of shot. And again, this was actually near the Giant's Causeway. The Giant's Causeway is a popular tourist area just outside the town of Bushmills, and we did a morning walk there. And so I took this photo there. It's just spectacular. And this is the other type of thing you'll see. Everything is green, and you have these beautiful flowers. Unfortunately, I'm not a botanist. I have no idea what these flowers are called. Maybe some of you do, but it's just spectacular. And yeah, so you have the contrast of these green hills, these flowers, and waves crashing. It's really quite a spectacular scenery. We did have to take a ferry from Ireland because we're up in some golf courses up in the north, and we took a ferry across, and I just loved this shot of the green hills, the coastal communities here, and just these homes built along the hillsides and the farmland. It's just like I said, just really spectacular. Want a little summer cottage? This is called Runcarry House. This has quite a history to it. This was built by Lord MacNaughton way back in the day. He had 6 daughters, so he built a place like this, and the 6 daughters never married, so they stayed. All of that is past history. Now this has been divided up into condominiums, and occasionally 1 or 2 come up on the coast. But this is from Bushfoot Beach right in here, and there are walking trails and hiking trails through there. There's a 9-hole golf course not too far from here. But yeah, this is up near the town of Bushmills. And in the town of Bushmills, I actually ate at this restaurant, really good restaurant, and I just kind of like this photo here as well. Maybe you do too. Since it was a golf trip, I did have to take a couple of photos, and this is from a course called Ballycastle. As I mentioned, we played Royal County Down, one of the more famous courses in Ireland, Northern Ireland. But if you're planning a golf trip, maybe just don't hit all the highlights. There are a lot of great golf courses in Ireland, but this one, Ballycastle, just spectacular. And as you can see, this is the town down here, as you'll see in just a second. This is Port Stewart, the second tee of Port Stewart. Just look at these massive sand dunes that the golf course winds itself through. Just spectacular. And I'll show you one more from Ballycastle. So here's the town of Ballycastle. There's the beach and the golf course that is built along it. So as I said, this isn't a complete itinerary for everybody, but I did want to share some of these photos because, man, it was such a beautiful trip. And again, I was mixing in a lot of golf and a little bit of photography, but I'll be posting these on my website eventually, which is markfineandphotography.com, in case you haven't seen that. So like I said, this isn't a weather update. This is a photo update from my most recent travels. Hopefully now that I'm into retirement, I'll be able to post more videos like that. So if you've been to Northern Ireland or Ireland and you have places to suggest that I should go and photograph, because I will be going back, feel free to drop those in the comments. Thanks for stopping by.